Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Rob Baer, and joining me once again, I just remember Matt's here, so it threw me off. I was like, oh shit, Matt's here. What do I do?
I think you nailed it.
I think Wyatt's looking at his junk.
Yeah, solid intro. I think just roll with that.
Yeah, that's it?
Just roll with that, dude.
Yeah, we got it. Easy.
Yeah. Fucking nailed it. We do have Matt here from Dice Check. You guys know him.
Dice Check.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Matt from Dice Check.
Rob takes 1 week off and he forgets how to do his job. You know, this is not new here.
Nah, this is pretty normal. Yeah. Hello, fellow humans.
Rob also got a sweet new lightsaber. You can check out the pre show for him doing some fun shit with his lightsaber.
That's where his mind's at. It's like a kid in math class, and he's like, all I want to do is go play with my lightsaber.
You know, the embarrassing thing is I had to ask him to hold it like it's his dick. Like he wasn't.
That wasn't the first thing. That's just.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I was like, yo, hold it like it's your dick already, man. Like, what are you doing? Just.
No, you caveated it. You're like, so it fits in frame. And I was like, so it fits in frame.
I mean, I was trying to I was meeting you in the middle because maybe he won't hold it like his dick because he thinks that's too crass.
When does that become too crass? Like, at what age does it become too crass to use a lightsaber as a...
I mean, I've used everything in this room as my simulated...
You gotta remember, Rob's 1,600 years old. So, I mean, that went out of style in his 800s, man.
I used a step ladder the other day as a simulated dick.
I'll grab anything and pretend that it's fine. Just be like, that. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow. And then start spinning it around.
Yeah. Oh my God. So obviously we got a lot to talk about tonight. What do we call it? The Balance Data Sheet. Is that what it's called?
Balance Data Slate.
Balance Data Slate. What's new in the FAQ is the section we usually put that in.
That works.
So we got this new thing to talk about, and it is a doozy, right? We also have the California team tournament, I think hosted by Dicehammer.
Yep.
Later this month, and that's kind of why having Matt on the show and Demeki recently is kind of important because they're on the same team as me and Wyatt. We have a Dice Check Long War mashup, and so Matt's playing Harlequins. He's going to be able to provide us with some insight here tonight. Demeki plays Tau. We heard from him last week. And since it's so much to cover, why don't we just go straight into a joke with a segment we call Wyatt's Cave of Wonders.
All right. I got a fun one. It's kind of a jokey one. All right. Goku is coming to beat your ass. Would you rather have the Avengers to back you up or the Justice League?
Bro, neither. They're both going to get their asses whooped by Goku.
Rob, are you caught up on Goku?
What do you mean caught up?
You know about him?
Bad father Goku?
Hey, listen, they kind of
which
retconned
Goku
him.
Are we talking about here?
It's a good question.
I mean, they're all bad.
Goku's coming to beat my ass. Is it modern Ultra Instinct Goku?
No. This is like as God intended ends with the Cell Saga.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so he is capable of not even Super Saiyan 2. So he's Super Saiyan 1 at his maximum.
No, Cell Saga, he reached Super Saiyan 2.
No, is it Gohan reached Super Saiyan 2?
You're right.
That's how they
Cell Saga. Yeah. So he's slightly weaker than his
son,
10-year-old child.
Yeah. He's got more fighting instinct though, because he almost did take Cell out in the opening volley. Mm-hmm. But so Super Saiyan 1, peak Super Saiyan 1, Goku. Okay. That's solid parameters. Okay. And so we're a little, we might be able to get through this.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people on the internet would argue that Superman can beat Goku. Which we all fucking can agree that he cannot. We all know this. This is a fucking fact I think this whole podcast can agree with.
Yeah.
Rob, do you agree with that? He doesn't have any skin in this fight. He doesn't.
Here's my thing. I've always wondered, right? It's like established canon that magical stuff is counter to Superman.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it begs the question if like ki powers are a magical thing or if ki is just like not magical.
It's pretty much discussed that it's not magic.
Okay.
Yeah, ki uses energy around you. That's what Master Roshi taught Goku in Dragon Ball, right?
So he doesn't have an ingrained weakness to a Kamehameha beyond any other person getting hit with a Kamehameha. Right? Because it's a function of the natural laws of the canon in that reality, right? It's like...
Yeah.
So that has been discussed. But I'm interested in Rob. Rob, do you give a shit? Do you get triggered by like even hearing someone say like Superman would be Goku? Is that even a thing that goes through your mind?
No, but I mean, I've read the arguments. I don't really care either way, personally. I'm not invested in it like you guys. Like for me, it was something that came on TV that I watched every now and then. I was like, well, that was an episode of them just, and I'm like, maybe I'll watch the next one. I'm bored. Sorry.
What version of the Avengers are we looking at here? Are we looking at like Act 1 with like Iron Man and stuff? Or are we looking at like Act 2 with like Scarlet Witch and, you know?
Yeah, I feel like
what's the lineup? Give me the lineup.
What like comic book adventures or MCU? So I think it's supposed to be what? It's like Cap, Thor, Hulk, Iron Man,
rough.
and then
that'll beat Goku.
Yeah, that beats Goku
lineup.
hands down.
Because there's
if it's the Hulk and Thor in the same team, it beats Goku.
I feel like that Thor by himself could take down Goku.
He's equal. I would say like Super Saiyan 1 Goku, I say is equal to late game Thor.
Yeah, Thor has like what? He's a god. Like he's a
god of hammers.
Yeah,
not the god of hammers.
And like Goku just got to like be able to fight gods now in Super. So like Super Saiyan 1 Goku probably can't take on Thor by himself.
Like Super, yeah, and I mean, the thing is, it's been another lineup. Like I've read so many mashups between Thor and Goku as well, and it's pretty close. Like, if you're peak level Thor, he can hang with Super Saiyan 1 Goku. Mm-hmm. And if you bring the Hulk into the fight, then because the Hulk is manageable, Goku can manage the Hulk, but not the Hulk and Thor. So that's a pretty stacked Avengers. That would definitely, I believe, protect me from Goku. But you have Superman on the fucking Justice League, which is, as much as I hate to say it, it's like having Thor. It's pretty... For Super Saiyan 1 Goku, that's a serious fight.
Superman's kind of just an alien, right? Goku's fought aliens. He's fought Frieza. He's fought Cell, which was like a made-up alien. He could take on Superman, right?
I mean, but it's a tight fight, like for sure.
Yeah.
It's like it's as tight as the Thor equation. And so who else is on the Justice League team? Like what else? The big, like Wonder Woman? That's a problem.
Yeah. So like in my mind, the core JL is like Superman, Batman, Green Lantern,
Wonder Woman,
and Flash. That's the 5. We're going to keep it at 5.
That's rough too.
You could sub one of those out for like Martian Manhunter or Aquaman, depending on like what era you're talking about.
All of those are gods / demigods ish.
Yeah.
Not counting Batman.
Like the Flash would just like defeat Goku hands down. I mean, like Goku couldn't even deal with Hit in Super, and that's like not even close to Super Saiyan 1. So I would say I think I'd put more of my money on the Avengers than I would the Justice League, though.
Dang.
DC has some interesting OP mechanics for their characters.
Yeah.
Like, I agree with you. I think it's a safer bet if you have those powerhouses and some of the, like, canon that they've built into their fucking lineup, which is ludicrous.
Yeah. Like, dude, like, the Hulk will hold down like Goku, and then Thor will tickle him, and then like Iron Man will like record it, and like that's the team right there. Yeah. It's GG.
But also, Cell Saga Goku used a lot of instant transmission in his game. So don't forget that. Like that was like a core power because before he got even faster when he was like, Saiyan 3. So he literally can just teleport.
Yeah.
Like, so like he literally instantly teleports. It's not even a movement skill. It's a portal skill. So he uses that canonically a lot in that era. So it's really hard to actually pin him down.
Yeah. I guess you're right.
And also don't forget canonically, Goku's Kamehameha explodes the earth if he's aiming down at the earth.
That's true.
So
I like this comment from the chat. You think Goku could lift Thor's hammer and like take it from him?
Yes.
Yes. 100%.
See,
100%.
That becomes a very interesting fight at that point.
Yes.
I think.
He absolutely, like, he is the guy who doesn't want to be wished back to life because one other person can be alive instead. It feels guilty that Dragon Ball's already been used on him. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, literally, we'll pick the hammer up. Like, if Thor can walk around with it, as, Goku can walk around with 2 of them. Like, just from honor and heart, Like, no doubt. That's interesting. So, yeah. So, the Avengers, I think, will have a harder time. I think the Justice League would, because,
Yeah, I think Justice League, probably.
He is a bad dad. But also, the Thor was worthy of his hammer, like, when he was just drinking beer and turned his back on all his people for fucking 5 years. So, But Goku's power, so we got to, so I don't want to dismiss Goku too much, though, because in the opening salvo of that fight, when he went up into the air to Kamehameha wave Cell, they were like, he's not going to do it. That would blow up the Earth. That's canon.
Can
instant transmissions down below vaporizes the top half of fucking Cell as the opening fucking warm up move. So that one hits anybody on the fucking DC team. Like that one hits Flash right there. That's an instant transmission.
Oh, yeah. See, another thing too.
That's an instant transmission, dog.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the first things I thought about is that the DC people they don't fight to kill. Whereas Goku has no problem killing a fool. Same way with the Marvel dudes. I think that fight would be much deadlier.
Can Goku use Kaioken?
Of course.
He's been using Kaioken the entire time. That is in canon.
Okay. So he can do Super Saiyan Kaioken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He can do that?
It was brought up and he's like, I've been doing it the whole time.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh. Dude, that's cool. I didn't.
They were like, aren't you using Kaioken technique anymore? He's like, I am. I've been continuously.
Wow. What a beast! What an absolute Chad.
He's a fighting genius. That's his canon. That's he's a fighting genius, and that's that's why ultimately Vegeta is so fucking disappointed in himself. He's like, this guy, no matter what the fucking power disparity is, he's a fighting genius. I think that Goku. Thinking really about, if we're saying Cell era Goku, in that fight mechanic that he's in, that what he had to do, and he also got off of a big hyperbolic time chamber training session where his whole thing was making the weight of being a Saiyan and all that energy moving through his body be nothing, right? That speed level. He was at the height of he's at peak level Saiyan 1 speed, right? He's got a couple of tricks up these sleeves, but the problem is I think he can vaporize 2, and he'll identify the threats quickly. Right, when he sees the Flash, he'll realize that the Flash's ability to move when he's not accessing the time fucking powers is not as fast as his reaction. So he'll instant transmission vaporize him and try to line that shot up so he can take somebody else out. But I think that gets diminished in return after that. Let's say after that. He's just fighting people now. And I think Superman will wear him down. And then we know canonically, what's Batman's superpower? Whatever he wants it to be. So eventually he's going to figure something out. And there's no way Goku's going to target Batman because he's going to read that there's literally no power level associated with him. He's like, that's a regular ass dude. This is kind of fucked up. Yeah, he'd use scarecrow toxins on Goku, Corvidai says in chat. I believe it. I bet Goku will like get like will like go and like try to get fucking Batman out of the way of a blast because he'd be like, I gotta protect this human. These guys are fucking fools. And then get like syringed with some fucking scarecrow toxins.
Like now if we were talking like Goku current with like,
Ultra Instinct Goku
stuff, he wipes all.
Oh, he wipes the whole team out. Yeah,
he wipes the whole squad easy.
Yeah. I think, but I think Goku destroys the Avengers, and your only hope is DC to save your life.
It would be DC at that point.
If they're my bodyguard, so I don't die, then I would have to pick the Justice League. That's a good topic. That one in which that Rob doesn't really get to participate in, which I understand what that feels like, Rob, because sometimes you guys are going off about Star Wars and shit like that. And I don't know what anything about that shit is. So why don't I take this opportunity to kick it back to Rob, and why don't you tell us about your brand new toy?
That's not Tabletop Market Watch. You just have to watch the pregame to see it. I'm not holding it up to my junk again.
He used it as a dick, yes.
This is why I know that Rob's a lizard person, because no adult man would ever pass up a chance to talk about his brand new toy.
No, it's cool. You should get one. I'm trying to make people go see the pregame.
That's true. If you want to see Rob's new toy in the dark being wielded like a fucking like a Luke Skywalker motherfucker, you know what to do.
Maybe I'll take it. I don't know. I guess you can't have you can take it to conventions. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not here to talk about my toys. I'm back from returning my videotapes. I'm a little sad I didn't get to chime in about squats and Horus Heresy and new Imperial Knights, although the Chaos Renegade Knights are pretty much leaking already. Although, much like the data sheet that came out today, the Balance data sheet, GW has given a stern talking to those wily playtesters who apparently were responsible for all these leaks everywhere. But I'll let everybody know in a little secret. Everybody's mad at GW. So if anybody gets any shred of anything that leaks to leak, they're going to leak it. Unless, they might own a Games of Hobbies website and feel like they can split it up and mask it and put it out slowly over time, maybe once a day for like weeks. I'm just saying that would be the smart way to do it. But some people want to leak a whole PDF. That's pretty dumb.
Some people just want to see the world burn.
Don't do that, kids. That's dumb.
It's bad for content.
Get paid.
At some point, somebody at GW is going to get smart enough and put like a couple extra periods in a couple different spots to try to figure out who's actually leaking all this shit. But that will probably only be for like a specific group of people. The problem is that the things that have been leaking from different sources, play testers, the actual printers. Like anybody that has anything to do with the hobby seems to want to just put information out there these days because the hobby's in a weird place. But that being said, there are some exciting Blood Bowl releases that are going on pre-order this week. First off, White Dwarf 474 that has a Caradon Overlords updates in it for Age of Sigmar will be out. And then, of course, you've got the Blood Bowl Norse team, which actually looks pretty good. The models look pretty dope. $50 for that. They got a dice set for $18. The new Spike Journal issue 14 for $15. Team card pack for $30. And the pitch and dugouts for $50 too. Now, we've seen some stuff this week, and I didn't want to talk about too much from last week because I kind of missed it, and that's on me. I had some videotapes to return. So first off, Matt Ward announced that he is going to be part of the Dark Tide project, the video game that's scheduled to come out in September now. And the internet had various things to say about that, of course. I kind of feel like he's been part of it for a lot longer than he let on, but it's part of a marketing little stunt, which is genius, by the way. So that's pretty interesting. Get people talking about it. Dark Tide. Reaper is put out their Bones 6 Kickstarter, and it has almost reached $1 million already. And I think it's only been out for less than a week. Now, Reaper's going to be using that CEOcast material that if you went to Adepticon, you might have seen a couple of people talking about it. Creaturecaster uses it. Warlord Games uses it. I guess those are the only ones I can actually talk about that have admitted. Obviously, Reaper uses it because they have said it. So you may remember, Reaper did a bunch of Kickstarters back in like the early 2000 teens. And, well, they were affordable, but the quality of the miniatures was, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. You got what you paid for. I mean, $100, you got like 1 million models, basically. That's a good return on investment. So this time around, they're going to be a lot better quality. That's all I'm saying. CEOcast it's a great technology for companies that don't want to spend the cheddar on injection molding. If you're going to run a Kickstarter, some sort of game, you might want to look at CEOcast. I think I was seriously looking at the CEOcast machine for a very long time. Ultimately, I decided to pass on it. It just wasn't a good business fit for us. But I am very interested in the technology, and it continues to improve. They announced a new material at Adepticon. They bought me wine, so I would talk about this.
We thought you were going to buy a few of their machines.
I also thought I was going to buy some of the machines, but
they got him real drunk, guys.
Yeah,
I wasn't that drunk.
It was a legit worry that when Rob came back to the room, he was going to be like, "So I bought like 3 CEOcast machines."
But seriously, they're worth checking out if you have a miniatures company or even a Kickstarter that you need large numbers of things of product. You want to keep it in house. You want to keep it, in the States. You want to keep it environmentally friendly, and place some folks around your business area. Don't farm it out to other countries. I think it's definitely worth a hard look depending on your budget and things. So check that out for sure. New Joy Toys were spotted yesterday. It looks like there's going to be some Imperial Fist versions of the Joy Toy action figures for Warhammer 40k. They look pretty neat. A couple new Primaris ones. Also, I don't know when this post went out. I don't know if it's made the rounds quite yet. On our site, it might be out there on the internets. But Razer, the folks that make gaming peripherals, I like. Have their chair here. Of course, I have a couple of their laptops and various.
Everybody knows who they are.
Okay, great. Well, they're doing customs. So if you want Warhammer 40k mouses, mices, whatever you want to call them, mouse pads, any of the peripherals that they produce, you can get them. You can have like custom text on them, whatever you want. And it's actually not that bad, like price wise either. I was looking at it.
They'll let you do anything regardless of ownership of fucking.
What do you mean?
Like you just said they'll do a custom mouse, but like if I give them 40k artwork, aren't they going to be like?
Well, they have prints that they're already in there. You got to choose from them. You can put text in there and stuff.
Oh, so there's a deal with okay.
Yeah, it's an official license. Yeah. So
almost as if the licensing department at Games Workshop is paying their bills these days.
I mean, it's definitely helping.
Doing more.
So that's
sales.
worth checking out. If you want those official Warhammer mouse pads, they got Vermintide, a lot of different brand, Sigmar, 40k, of course. Definitely worth checking out. Mantic put out an interesting offering, the new Firefight starter box, 70 miniatures for $130. It almost makes me feel like it's 2005 again.
I was just talking to them at Adepticon about this shit. They were like, it's going to be a hype, dude.
It looks good.
Yeah.
There's some mega bundles where you can get even more stuff for like $200, but I feel like, you got to stop at some point. I mean, 70 minis for 130 these days is pretty good. I mean, even
that's like the Taco Bell like days when you can get a grande combo for like $6.
You remember like the 59, 79, 99 cent menu?
I remember 29-cent taco day.
Oh yeah, 29. Yeah. Yep. Wow.
My butthole hurts right now just thinking about it.
I think McDonald's did like 25-cent.
20. They did the
Hamburgers.
same promotion, man. Like cheeseburger.
Yeah, it was all crazy back then.
I really was an at-risk teen with my weight during that era.
I think that's how I got the glutens. 100%. AMG announced there's a new Starfighter pack coming out for X-Wing. Looks like you'll be able to play Cad Bane in the Rogue class Starfighter. I don't think there's any pricing yet for it, but that will be out very, very shortly. Well, depending, it's AMG, so it could be 6 months from now sometimes. But I do like that they're holding up the releases to kind of come out universally across all of the geos, because folks getting the stuff early was and then showing it off, and then people would get butthurt and like, I don't want to play this game anymore. There's people in Poland already have the minis. Nothing against people in Poland, but to add the minis, or Canada or UK or wherever, it's just wild. So that's pretty cool to see. There are some rumors out there. If you're getting hyped for the Horus Heresy, I know we talked about it. Well, I didn't talk about it. I guess the guys talked about it last week a little bit.
Yeah.
So the big Horus Heresy box is coming out. Supposedly it's going to be between $250 and $300. Supposedly the rumor is, and I've heard this from a bunch of different sources, that GW's trying to produce 100,000 units of these. I'm not sure if that got lost in translation across like, hey, we're going to make 100,000 worldwide or 100,000 of this version because there's going to be 4 different versions. Maybe it's for the limited edition one. But I do know that supposedly there was 35,000 Indominus. We talked about it in length when it happened back in the summer of 2020 for here in the States. Obviously, they sold out very quickly because of speculation, because of FOMO, because of all the things. GW put it on MTO, came out, everybody got their stuff in December. So in theory, at least here in the States, you could make the argument that they produced double, like maybe 70,000 Indominuses here in the States. In theory, you could make that argument. If that is the case, you could make an argument that they're going to make 100,000 Horus Heresy boxes. Doesn't take a mathologist to realize what 100,000 times 300 is. It's a lot of money. And maybe they're swinging for the fences. They're going to have all these people out for Horus Heresy open day in May. All these content creators, some folks that they haven't worked with in the past, maybe they're trying to break into new markets, new audiences. Kind of hard to say at this point, but I would bet at least $1 that we're going to see about a month of hard previews starting in May for this, like really hard previews. We're getting one a week now. Then we're going to start getting hammered with them. And then the set will come out in June-ish, in July, maybe, either way. But I'm not sure if it's enough. I feel like a lot of people are interested, and I really hope that it's adopted and stores don't get stuck with these boxes. But at the end of the day, it's going to be really interesting to kind of see what happens, because if you went to Adepticon, you saw a lot of army boxes, you saw a lot of Dominions just kind of sitting around. And I really hope that kind of doesn't happen again, for the hobby in general, but also for game stores, because a lot of folks got stuck with these things. But so far, so good. New previews look dope. Early playtest rules look dope. It seems like it's sticking to its kind of original roots with a little bit of an update game system wise. So that's really cool to see, I feel like. And last but not least, Cromlech is coming out with what they're called the Sindari Void Fairs, which are basically a bunch of different space elf looking models that are a little bit more affordable than some of the stuff out there. So definitely, if you're getting into Eldar and maybe you're not able to find the kits because they're sold out, or you want something that looks a little different, check them out. Definitely worth it.
Thank you for your professionalism. See, that's what we missed last week when Rob was returning his videos to the Blockbuster.
For a whole week.
It's just me, Wyatt, and Demeki, and so
yeah,
we did our best.
It kind of sounds like a party. Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, the old scratch and jack is what we like to call that.
So you have that special spot in your underwear to
There was a jar of mustard involved. We had an NPR on real loud.
So let's do a quick Patreon roll call.
Can do. Let's see. That's some new patrons. Let's give a big thank you to Colonel Commissar Kenny, Samurai Jack to Face Ripper, Charles W. Hooks,
Some seriously dope names here.
David Gagno, and Sparrow. Thank you.
Nice.
Yes, thank you.
Nice.
One of these days, I'll get off my duff and we'll figure out this.
Our annuals for our t-shirt push. It's going to happen. I actually got some quotes in. I think I emailed you for
You
dice
did.
bags and stuff. And we're going to figure out if we're going to do some dice bags and dice. A lot of things are moving. Thank you guys for your support. Now
I was busy returning videos.
those late fees. You know, I got to cover those late fees.
Do you know Netflix used to send you DVDs? Can
Yeah, you know,
believe that?
Netflix is genius. They figured out how to take an entire like warehouse of DVDs and make us hold the inventory for them. Ultimately, that's what the model was. Like, we have 4 billion DVDs. Why don't we make them store it for us? The market. Decentralize our storage. And we're just
went
mailing
digital.
them back to each other. You know what I mean?
Well, no, because when you put it in an envelope, it went back to them.
They went back to their fucking hub and it immediately went out to the next person. Like,
Oh, yeah. I guess
these things
you
were
could.
never being held anywhere. They're just moving through the postal system and we're holding them.
Yeah.
It's crazy. There's a documentary about it. I was like, that's fucking genius. Anyway, we got so much to fucking talk about tonight.
Why, what
GW
happened?
Balance Dataslate.
They brought balance to the force?
And we've got our, yes, in some ways, very much not. This is our section called What's New in the FAQ. And there's a lot to talk about, but not actually like a whole lot of dry rules. I feel like just a couple of core points. And it's pretty easy to understand. We're kicking over to Wyatt. He'll walk us through some of this. And then we've got Matt here to help us understand some of these things in a competitive way as well. So let's do it.
So some universal match play rules. First up is this new rule called Armor of Contempt. It's a term you've probably heard before, 40k space, but anything with the Adeptus Astartes, Sanctic Astartes, Heretic Astartes, or Adeptus Sororitas worsen the armor penetration characteristic of an attack allocated to them by 1. And pretty cool blanket rule. There are some caveats. It does not apply to models equipped with a storm shield, relic shield, or combat shield, or a relic that replaces one of those shields. Does not apply to models with the sacrosanct shield or force shielding ability.
Mm-hmm.
And it does not apply to models that are under the effects of any other rule that worsens or reduces AP values. So overall, that's a really good little handy uplifting buff to all those armies. And it
Except for
applies
Cypher.
except the Cypher. Yeah. I mean, it applies to a lot of things like Death Guard. Still have the Heretic Astartes. So that's pretty handy little buff to Death Guard. And because of the way that it's a reduction of AP and not a bonus to your save, you still get things like cover, like light cover, heavy cover. So you can kind of paraphrase, like reduce the AP by having that cover bonus, but then also reduce the AP from this actual rule. So if you are in light cover and somebody with AP2 fires their gun at you, or even like chops at you with a melee attack, right? You reduce that AP. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually really like it.
Yeah,
Dude,
it's
that's
fantastic.
such a good change for Space Marines, man. Like, Space Marines were suffering already, and like this just brings them up higher. It makes it so then they can fight against stuff and like not just have a feel bad's time all the time, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it's really big. Like all of a sudden, a lot of models having saves where they did not have saves before is huge. Great all around.
Yeah. It's a good buff to like Grey Knights. It's a good buff to like Thousand Suns. It's a good buff to Death Guard, especially Death Guard. But so much good stuff in that one.
I think this aircraft one was already in there. If you're playing Strike Force, you only have 2 aircraft.
Mhm.
Cool. That hasn't changed. Big change to indirect fire weapons. So an indirect fire weapon is one that can target units that are not visible. Such a weapon targets a unit that is not visible to the firing model. Then each time an attack is made with that weapon against that target, worsen the ballistic skill of that attack by 1, and add 1 to any armor saving throws made against that attack. So this is another kind of
ouch.
nuance. Yeah. So
My plague burst crawlers.
Yeah, it sucks for your plague bird crawlers. It does fix a lot. Like mechanically in this game, being able to shoot at a target that you don't have line of sight on is exceptionally strong.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of things that were kind of abusing this. And I think this is a good way to kind of balance that out.
Oh, it's fine. Like, I mean, we need it because we have good terrain now, right? We have abstract concepts associated with terrain features like obscuring. So we actually can hide our shit and actually get into a warfare simulation where you have to move around and find the lanes and get into these little isolated skirmishes across the board, right? Very, very fucking narrative. It's very cool, right? Like previous to this type of terrain, it's really just a pitch battle every game. It's just all my shit blasting all your shit across the table.
Yeah.
So
It's important to remember that part of this rule is that it only applies to those weapons if you don't have line of sight. So if you get line of sight, you can just full on send it and none of that stuff applies. It's only when you cannot see your target. Mm-hmm. So it's a good way of actually balancing these out where it's like, if you want your full ballistic skill and you want to hammer them as much as possible, you got to direct line of sight see them.
I think it's good because it is an issue. Terrain is so tight. We don't need whole swaths of the game ignoring terrain. And it's a pretty heavy-handed debuff, right, Matt? Like, because it's not just... It's not just -1 to hit. It's actually -1 to your ballistic skill.
Yeah. It's subtracting your ballistic skill characteristic. So if your ballistic skill characteristic is 4, like say that you're Tau and you're shooting your AFPs at something and you don't have line of sight, then your ballistic skill gets changed to a 5. And if they have a -1 to hit or you're shooting through dents, then all of a sudden you're hitting on 6s.
Do Tau have some way to ignore modifiers?
They do, but I don't think
so. They can ignore the modifier from dense cover, but their ballistic skill characteristic changes to 5.
Yes,
I believe so. Yes.
Whereas like my plague burst crawlers, like 50% of the time, it's going to be hitting on 5s. Yeah. And then this part where you get +1 to your saving characteristic versus the attack.
Oh,
that is dirty because most of the time they're in cover, and if they're Space Marines, look, let me put it this way, guys. 3 Plague Burst Crawlers has been the American Express card of Death Guard for a long time. Everyone knows it, right? And they are pretty good, okay? They're tough vehicles that can help you secure objectives in your vac fields. They help you with recon or engaging all fronts and spreading out. They're really good. I mean, help you like with those entropy cannons. But really all the mortars do is all aim at the same 5 intercessors in the backfield and barely kill those 5 guys in one turn. That's because it was already having to interact with -1 to hits, cover saves, and all that stuff, right? So over the course of 5 turns, your mortars would be really clutch by the end game as you've taken out a few of these units that you couldn't see throughout the game while also lining up your entropy cannon shots. Let me put it this way. 5 fucking intercessors standing in a fucking tree, fucking with -1 to hit, and this new armor contempt rule, and fucking all that shit. Like, you're never killing a fucking model again. Yeah. Not with the mortars.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
So you know how I feel about Death Guard. I'm not saying that Plague Burst Crawlers are dead and that they're useless. They are not. It's just taking 3 of them is utterly unnecessary. Now it's diminishing returns. I don't see a problem with like taking 1 with some Plague Spitters on it and having it be a 150-point bumper card to help you with things. But honestly, you're free. You're free now from the American Express card of 3 Plague Burst Crawlers, and you can open your list up to new possibilities.
Especially with some stuff we're going to talk about here in a minute. But all that being said, if you have the Astra Militarum keyword, you ignore this rule. Like, it does not apply to you.
Wait.
Yep.
Is that because they're so shitty right now?
Probably. Wow. I mean, Astra Militarum needs some help. artillery is kind of their thing because like they're one of the only factions that has like multiple of these things that are dedicated to artillery stuff. And their codex is very long in the tooth for this edition. So, I mean, like, I think that's fair. It'll be fine.
Yeah. And then also like their best unit in their army is like the Mana Core. And if this rule went out and it affected the Mana Core, then like they're even worse in the water at that point, right? Like it's just like bad.
Yeah.
But I was like talking with this guy on the from the Grey Knights Discord, and we were like mathing it out, and apparently it takes like 72 shots of an air bursting fragmentation projector. That's the Tau's ignoring line of sight, not the smart missile system, but just the air burst one.
To kill one paladin?
It takes to kill one strike.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm fucking talking about, guys. A Plague Burst Crawler is never going to kill an Intercessor Marine again. It's never going to happen.
It's just not going to happen. Because, like, they're saving on 2s. Like, it's just bad news.
You're hitting on 5s like some kind of peasant over here.
Yeah, dude. Like,
God.
It's not very good.
But, I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. Like, because, like, all these units that are reliant. See, this is why I joked about Astra Militarum. But Astra Militarum has a lot of vehicles that, like, that's their only thing they do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. Yeah. Like, a Wyvern, that's all it does. You know what I'm saying? That's it. So, like, you can't, like, whereas a Plague Burst Crawler is toughness 8, 12 wounds, -1 damage, fucking plague spitters on the sides or fucking entropy cannons on the side. There's a lot of things that thing can do besides throw its mortar out there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So this is, I think it's fine. And I'm actually really excited about this change. I think it's better for the game because, you know what? If you're telling me that my Plague Burst Crawlers are not going to do that role anymore, that also means that's not going to be done to me anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about that new freedom in the scheming phase of Warhammer 40k. I think it's a great fucking rule. It's a lot stronger than I thought it was going to be, but you know what? I've made peace with it. It's fine.
Yeah. And like, you know, like you said, it's just a healthier environment for the game. People weren't having fun with like Hive Guard ignoring line of sight. People weren't having when Tau came out and they had AFPs coming out of the straight out the gate.
Yeah, like there's a huge difference between somebody having like 2 basilisks, it's like 2d6 shots a turn, to 1 unit of 5 crisis suits having 10d6 shots that did not require line of sight, could hit you on 3s with marker lights, could have rerolls, could have additional AP from Montka, things like that, where it's just like the number of dice that you're throwing at that problem overwhelms any type of like math and saves that you might have by being in light cover or something. So having this change, I think, addresses the problem. And it's like, if you want those guns to do their best, like get line of sight.
I mean, that's how a lot of indirect fire works. You still have a spotter, just in general. But I know 40k isn't meant to be realistic, but
so the third universal thing they changed is actually kind of big, and it affects a number of armies, and it's changed to the bodyguard ability. So in the core rules, we have the Lookout Sir, which is, you know, character blocking with vehicles or, you know, units of models. And then we had this shenanigans with bodyguard, and that was kind of becoming a problem. And so they have changed that rule so that that character unit can use the Lookout Sir ability even if that bodyguard unit does not contain 3 or more models. And I think they still serve their purpose. It's just that the gamey kind of cheatsy thing, not really a cheatsy thing, but it was like you'd have Trajan out in the front, and then behind a building where you couldn't get line of sight, there was like 3 wardens just
character block. Yeah. We will always find a way to abuse the rules to maximize them, and that is what has occurred. So they just cleanly changed this mechanic. And and many people listening to this podcast might be like, wait, what? It's something that happens at a very competitive 40K. It's a way of like basically making a character untargetable, and even the reason he's untargetable. You know what I'm saying? So there's no interaction. Like, so disallowed interactions have always been something GW is trying to fix in the game. And honestly, character disallowment has been a thing that they've been having to work on the whole time since 8th edition Index dropped. There's been 1,000 changes hyperbolically to how character screening works since we changed editions from 7th to 8th to this new way of playing. So this is the newest interaction, and shout out. It's pretty good.
Yeah. I actually really like it because it's like, I think that before Bodyguard was fine, even with Custodes, I thought that Bodyguard was fine. Like I didn't mind it too much, but the straw that broke the camel's back was Tau and the way that they were able to use bodyguards, because you could use your drones to like, what's it called, to string back to the bodyguards since the drones were part of the unit.
Yeah.
And then that added it. That was like a really, really big problem. They addressed that in an FAQ. So it's nice in this data slate that they're just like, we're just going to basically
let's make this thing official, guys.
Yeah.
And that means sniper rifles work again.
Yeah,
exactly.
Which is kind of like, what was the point at that point?
Yeah.
Very sad.
And since sniper stuff was a problem, sniper weapons and platforms have been reined in to the point where I don't think we're going to run into those same types of problems that we used to have.
Yeah, there were a few eras that sniping was a problem.
Yeah, Bodyguard was a band-aid because there was too many things that could ignore Lookout Sir and were too dang strong. So that's where it came from. And then that kind of got left in the dust as sniper platforms were reined in, and now we can rein in Bodyguard.
Yeah, I just don't. The whole bodyguard mechanic the whole time. I mean, I get the representation of there. It might not actually be like standing there. It's fluid and dynamic and things are moving around, but like it just felt bad from a player perspective. Like,
oh yeah, no, like, honestly, you're right. It's a feel bad size. Yeah. When it's used, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people listening to this podcast might not even perceive the broken element of it or even deploy it themselves or even experienced it. But the gamey element that was being utilized at the highest level of Warhammer 40k is definitely sketchy.
Yeah, and especially with units that had like strong shooting platforms. Like Trajan is an example because it's been popular. But like the thing with Trajan is you're basically sitting him out there on an objective or something where it's like, if you want to interact with, you have to come fight me. So I'm forcing you to fight me on my terms. And stuff can schwack Trajan. Like that's a thing that can happen, right? You can smite Trajan if he's sitting out there like that. It doesn't stop psychic powers. Where it becomes really gamey is where you have really hard to kill units with big guns on them that are just hanging out there. Like you can't target me, but I'm just going to shoot my crazy guns all day long. Like that was real bad.
Yeah, like your long strikes and stuff like that. Like for
your Hunt Masters, Morven Vol, character dreadnoughts and Space Marines with las cannons and stuff. Like yeah,
it wasn't healthy. And like now you can still target them even if you don't have a sniper rule because it's just Lookout Sir. So if it's your closest eligible unit to target with shooting, then you can shoot at him.
Yeah.
So that helps out a lot. Like,
yeah, you actually have to use movement again. And
yeah, you can't just stick them outside of a ruin, put the bodyguards behind them and then be like, well, you can't touch me. Nothing you can do about it. It's like literally uninteractive.
Yep. And so there's no way that your bodyguard's out of line of sight and doing its job. So it's good. Anyway, is that all the new core rule updates or?
Yes. All right, well, let's do one happy one before we get into the reason everybody's here. Death Guard got some cool stuff. Blight Lord Terminators and Death Shroud Terminators.
Ooh, this is shocking information to me.
OBSEC. They're now OBSEC.
This is shocking information.
Great.
Who at Games Workshop just beats their dick to Death Guard as much as I do? This is just fucking like, what a left field just... Like
with some mana from God to come down and be like, oh, thank you, sir.
Like, are you serious right now? So like I get this contempt.
I thought that was pretty cool.
I get this like new like -1 to AP that comes in and my Death Shroud Terminators suddenly are fucking objective secure.
Yeah. They felt bad from the last chapter.
I think that's
jealous.
Yeah.
You're playing Death Guard, the team tournament. I'd love to pull out all my Death Shroud and play again.
I'm bringing Mortarion back though, so
that's the
that
way.
That was the answer when I was like, well, if 3 Playboy Scrawlers don't matter anymore.
Morty,
who also is benefiting from this armor contempt rule, seems pretty tight.
Yeah. All right. So why is everybody here? Did they fix Harlequins? Did they fix Custodians? Did they fix Tau?
They're broken. They got rid of them. You can't take 3 Void Weavers in a squad anymore. You can only have 1 unit of 3 in your whole army, right, Matt?
You can only have 0 now. Reduced it down to 0. Tau, crisis suits. They said that for crisis suits, if any of your shield drones are not based, they are allowed to hit it with a hammer. All that stuff.
I didn't read
Lots
that.
of really cool stuff in here. Custodians not touched at all.
Take your Tau army, throw it in the garbage where it belongs.
Yeah.
No. All right. Well,
So Matt has actually been playtesting for California teams.
Let's talk about Harlequins.
And so you've been playtesting at like 1,1800 points, just getting ready for a nerf, like with our fingers crossed that they weren't going to change it to 0 to 1.
Yeah, no, I've played different lists, going from like 2 squads, 3 squads, all kinds of different ways. Like when after Adepticon, everybody in the Harlequins community was like, we're gonna get nerfed. Like what's the biggest thing that we're gonna get? And so as time went on, a lot of people started coming out with like these different rumors and stuff like that. And, we started hearing from the grapevine, all these different ways that they were going to get nerfed. And so I took like, the biggest ones and the ones that were the biggest ones that I could find. And I started playing with that. I got to a point where I was even playing with a list that was like 16-10 points, 16-10 points against like, the strongest armies, stuff like that. Still did fine. And that was running like 6 Void Weavers and like 4 Star Weavers and stuff like that.
So they didn't change them to 0 to 1. They just made them, 40 more points?
They made them 40 more points. So that's pretty big. That's
120 points per unit.
130. 130 points per unit. That's like almost a 50% increase in that unit. The next big thing is that Star Weavers, the transport, that one went up by 15 points. So it went from 80 to 95, because you have to bring both of them, right? You can't just bring, whatever. But the transport's up by 15 points. And then the biggest change here, or 2 of the biggest changes here, besides just the point increases, is a change to Mirror Architect. The Mirror Architect is a pivotal role for the Shadow Seer. Before it used to be an aura, but it has now been changed it only affects a core Sadith unit within 9 inches of the model you selected during your command phase, and they get the Mirror Architect buff, which is decrease someone's range by 6 inches, or act as if they're 6 inches away.
Yeah, that's been a thing that's been around for a long time. That's one of the kind of prime. Oh, I got to play Harlequins, like kind of factors. Is like they're going to put their whole army around the Shadow Seer. So my whole army is like minus 6 inches to range. So having it be on 1 unit, I think, is because you still have that tool in your arsenal. It's just different. It's like the change between having a chapter master pre this edition and now this edition, where you just point and click, and like that unit gets full hit rerolls instead of everybody around the chapter master. So I think that's like a good way of changing it. The issue I have with this is that like Harlequins, if we're looking at like a chart here of why Harlequins are OP, they have like 7 layers of contrivance. They just removed 1. And so they still have like 9 layers of contrivance.
The biggest thing here is just that like it's only for core, which Harlequins only have 2 core units,
so
which
that is the biggest. Honestly, that is your biggest hit, right? Like honestly. And it's funny because normally on the podcast, we're talking about what's new in FAQ and they just changed points dramatically. That's a big point hike. Normally I'm like, well, the problem is usually the rules and not the points, but I'm actually impressed that they did points and not just changing all the rules, because everyone just went out and bought their new fucking kits. Everybody always complains after they do that GW is going to fucking nerf it and then you just wasted money. Well, that is not the case. What has occurred here is they adjusted their points, and not in a way that makes them impossible to play. What I like about doing it this way in this particular moment in the timeline is that not only like is it not a buyer's remorse situation, is that if people continue to run 6 and 9 of these vehicles and that is still the only list you see, then they know, okay, for sure, we got to change the rules now. But if people start just running like a unit of 3, some people run a unit of 6, and it's not every fucking army, then they just, then it's just easy. It's easy. The points.
Yeah.
So this is a great way to do it. So at least people don't have buyer's remorse for now. We'll find out what the archetype of Harlequins continues to be as we move forward, but you still get to fucking play with the units you just fucking bought a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
So,
that haven't been viable since like they dropped. Like, you know what I mean? So like,
yeah. I'm actually really happy I'm really fucking hyped for fucking Harlequin fans.
I like it a
they
lot.
didn't get them taken off the shelf.
yeah, and I like that they didn't reduce squadrons. I never think that reducing the squad size of a unit is ever a good answer. The buggy treatment I don't think was a good answer.
Buggies were very off-putting to work players.
Yeah,
I know people that just like straight up just quit 40k because of that shit.
But that FAQ, Rob, came out like a million years after people bought buggies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
they never really saw, they came out in that October. They never really saw the play.
You know what I'm saying? Like people
3
had
years later,
people who bought that box of buggies have had those box of buggies for a long fucking time.
4 years later.
So
and like, yeah, no, it's great. I mean, like the Harlequins have other play styles that they can go with as well. You have Dark, you have Twilight also. Like there's still really cool play styles they can do. You don't have to do 6 Void Weavers. You can run Sky Weavers instead. There's lots of really cool stuff that you can do with Harlequins right now. And them not like over nerfing Void Weavers is great because it's our only option for something that's can fight against anything that's like T7 and up, right? Because like haywire cannons are garbage.
I mean,
all
you
that
still
stuff.
have your light Sadist. You still have your invul saves.
Yeah.
You still have your ways to boost invul saves. You still turn off your rolls.
So let's not fuck with the rules. Let's do like one rule, points change. Let's see how it works out. That's a really responsible way to approach Harlequins, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Now, real quick, someone in chat, I just saw it blast through, is like, can we all agree that Black Templar are the top tier Space Marines now? And I just wanted to say, guys, take a look at Blood Angels for a few minutes before you go off on the list. Anything with a 2-up
Also,
built-in armor save right now with this armor contempt rule.
Deathwing is
obviously sick, but if you want to just talk about some regular ass dudes, Sanguinary Guard, based up literally 2-up save built in. Now I have this -1. You want to talk about something crazy? Blood Angel Assault Centurions.
Ooh.
Blood Angel Assault Centurions
earlier today. Like Centurions.
Yeah. Bro. Dude, Centurions are nasty.
Because they have the extra attack, they have fucking Savage Echoes, everything plus on the wound.
They also have a blistering amount of volume fire coming out of them.
You know who also got really good? A unit that I've always been on the fence about in my Blood Angels? Death Company. Well, Death Company now, with their pre-game move and all this crazy shit they can do, just got this AP mitigator. Like, I took a second look at them. But anything with a 2-up save in the Blood Angel Codex right now, and there's some really spicy units, is really fucking powerful. So I'm not saying that they're top tier Space Marines by any stretch of imagination. It's just like there's a lot of play for a lot of fucking units for a lot of Space Marines right now that you haven't thought of in ages.
The Venerable Land Raider. Might see some. I mean, 2-up armor save even versus Melta now. He has a 5-up. Like that's basically like giving it an invul save.
That's actually huge. That's so huge.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know what else can fit in Land Raiders? Centurions.
You know how much a Land Raider costs?
It's like 240, 265.
No, money wise.
Oh, I haven't looked at one in years.
You ready for this?
$110.
Oh
my God.
Oh, wow. That's way too much.
110. And I think the Storm Raven's 110 as well.
Oh my god.
Just buy a shoebox and cut it in half, and there you go. There's your land.
Buy a shoebox.
Buy the
and then 3D print some panels, and then you can just use the armature of the shoebox.
Yeah,
you can still get stuff used.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna pay $110 for a Land Raider. I'm just gonna buy one on eBay or
you can literally find eBay full of them.
I'll literally phone a friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obliterators. Somebody in chat mentioned obliterators are powerful. It's yes. So anyway, that was just I wanted a very small side quest. Harlequins is what we were talking about. I think we're about to kick it over because that's the good news.
Well, there's one more change in here that's kind of big. It's the change to favor of Seguro. That's the one where you would use that warlord trait on your Death Jester that was a sniper. That's the one where you could change like your hit roll to a 6 and you combo that with your pivotal roll. So then you change a hit roll to a 6 and then it explodes 3 times. So you're like always guaranteed to get like almost, like 6 shots hitting into a character. They changed that rule. I don't know why. I don't get it when it's, Strands of Fate still exists, but sure. It wasn't like
now you got to reroll both.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But anyways, it's changed to now it only works in melee. So your melee can only be changed to a 6 for your hit roll or your wound roll, and then also a saving throw. So,
but you can still use the pivotal rolls when you're shooting.
Yeah, so like the pivotal roll is the one where it explodes 3 times if you hit a 6 or if you roll. So
I mean the fate dice. You can still use a fate dice for the shooting attacks.
No, because he's not part of. He doesn't get Strands of Fate. He doesn't get fate dice.
Oh.
I'm saying that like I don't know why they changed this when fate dice still exists. Like why when fate dice is a mechanic that exists, because that's an unmodified hit roll of 6.
Interesting.
Right, like that doesn't make sense to me. But that got changed. Understandable, I guess. Because
somebody in the GW Beats Lab doing some play testing got a real feel badsy from it.
Yeah,
I mean,
just like somebody in the Beats Lab, it was probably the Death Guard guy.
it was, to be fair, it was an undercosted unit. Like it was like a 75-point unit that was punching so above its weight class. I thought that they were just going to give it a point hike, but they just changed it. So crazy. Yeah.
Tau got some changes. Some of their oppressive stuff got toned down. The Monka ability was changed slightly from additional AP to a wound reroll. Still very useful, still very utility. The Farsight Enclave's devastating counterstrike was changed so that you can no longer do it out of Deep Strike. Helps that out. Probably a lot of feel badsies with that kind of thing. Core was removed from broadsides, which seems seems old. Like broadsides are not a problem in Tau. Like it's the crisis suit spam that's the issues. This feels a little weird. And I don't even know what this repulsor impact field thing was, but that was changed somehow.
Yeah, that was on a charge you can have like, I think this is for battle suits and stuff. I think like if somebody did a multi-charge with like battle suits and I think it was Pathfinders or something, you could chuck a grenade, or you could use both stratagems and like reduce somebody's charge by 4. I think that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're just making it not cumulative with other negative modifiers. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically. I like them. I think that they're good, but it's very light. It's very slight. Yeah,
I don't think it's addressing the stuff. I mean, like, also AFPs were nerfed heavily by the other thing. So even though it's not in the Tau thing and the bodyguard thing, but I mean, it's like cool. AFPs aren't good anymore. Anyways, here's like 300 burst cannon shots with plasma on top and fusion guns.
Still a lot.
Like, meh, whatever. Yeah. It's like I'm just gonna throw buckets of dice at you.
Yeah, they did change up Farsight Enclaves, which is good for the marker light thing. That is a feels bad where you could just drop down this unit that can like dump over 100 shots on you and
I don't care who you are. That's bad.
Yeah, and like just reroll everything. You get so much value out of that. So I'm totally happy with that. I think that's good. And then losing the AP off of Monka kind of sucks, but I think that's still fine. These are all good.
You got plenty of AP elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't touch on the Ethereal joining Farsight Enclave's Allied World. Like, I don't know why that wasn't changed. That's a problem. Like that should not exist. Makes no sense.
Focusing on weird stuff. I mean, like it's the same thing with Custodies. Like Custodies have been gutted, I think is a apt term.
Wow.
Of what happened to them. Like insert sound drop of like they massacred my boy. Look what they did to my boy. So they took away OBSEC from everything but troop choices, which was already reduced in the new codex to infantry. Now it's reduced even farther to just troop units. So a lot of stuff that people were using for actions no longer work if it requires a troop roll to do the action or an OBSEC roll to do the action. We've only got handful of troops, and it's like, okay, all right.
There's laughter.
Yeah, really, really hurts things like our Aquilon Terminators and the Forge World Terminators. None of our characters are OBSEC anymore, and that's going to hurt quite a bit. So yeah, like it's just overall like that in and of itself severely hinders their ability to keep up in the 9th edition format with other factions that have much more efficiently point costed OBSEC units. They can just trade or overwhelm the 3-man unit of Custodes or something. They hit some stratagems pretty hard. Steamed Amalgam, Emperor's Auspice, and Martial Discretion says you can only use this stratagem once. And this is kind of a weird one. And I think there's going to be some debate on it because you can only use stratagems once anyways. It's just once during the specified phase. If it's a shooting phase or let's just say it's an any phase stratagem, you can only use it once in a phase to begin with. So it feels weird that they did not use 2 more words to clarify what they mean, because if they want it to be once per battle, it should say per battle, as other stratagems do. If they wanted it to be once per turn, it should say per turn, as other stratagems do. So just saying use once is a little weird. Like, can I only use Martial Discretion once per game or once per turn? It's kind of a weird thing to not clarify in a big data slate that everybody waited on.
I think that it's you can only use it once per color of underwear that you're wearing for that day.
Yeah, once per lifetime?
Yeah, once per lifetime.
I only get one more use of Emperor's Auspice. I better save it.
Yeah, you have to keep a tally of it. You know, you got
I got a punch card. Did you already use Emperor's Auspice in your lifetime?
Oh man,
I did. All right, give me the punch card. That's such a weird change, man. Like that doesn't make any sense to even if it changed to like once per turn. Sure.
I feel like that's a much more fair thing, so that like you have to decide, am I going to use this defensively in my shooting phase or my melee phase, like fight phase or shooting phase or whatever it's going to be. Esteemed Amalgam is the specific stratagem for Emperor's Chosen. Lets you hot swap into a different shield host for 1 unit. Only being able to do that once per game seems way too severe. I know that was like a huge part of a lot of Custodes tactics prior to this data sheet to use it like every single turn. But it's just like once per game seems weird. And it was once per turn before. And so it's like, okay, I guess that one is meant to be once per game. But at that point, it's like, why use it? And like, why tool around it? Why use it in the first place? Like it's,
I can't even tell you what the other stratagems are for Custodes. Like I know there's Transhuman, Auspice, and
Emperor's Auspice is the turn off rerolls.
I know that, and I know the Transhuman one, but like, and then the Emperor's Chosen one, right? It's like, what's the point of even bringing Trajan at this point to refund your CP when like you're not using these stratagems for your defensive profiles in the first place, besides once per game? Like,
yeah. And then on top of that, they changed transhuman and turn off rerolls to only on infantry models.
Oh,
so
my goodness, man.
This feels so weird, right? Because like this third bullet point seems like it's actually addressing an issue, right? Because the builds that have been very oppressive and winning with Custodes is the 9 jet bikes build. And so it's like that I can kind of understand. I feel like they could have just done the exact same thing that they did to Void Weavers, where it's like just increase Virtus Praetors by 10 points. And you can no longer have a really good army and still bring 9 of those things. Like you give up so much.
People in chat are cracking me up though. That you get to use that stratagem once in your life.
That's what we were saying. It's like once ever. Every Custodes player is right now being mailed a punch card. And when you use Emperor's Auspice, you punch that card and send it back to Games Workshop, and you're never allowed to use it again.
Yeah, they have to stamp it for certification.
Yeah,
they have to get a notary for it.
We had this conversation earlier, and I was just like, man, I'm so sad about Custodes.
Yeah, like
people just thought they were more powerful than they were.
They were like one of the things that we were talking about during tactics is like I saw a semi interesting discussion not too long ago about how there might need to be a new factor, like a new variable when we talk about the statistics on how well a faction is doing. And it's the hype stat. Like it's the hype stat. How hype is something when it gets new rules. And like with Custodes, that is a faction or an army that a lot of people already have if you're an Imperium collector, or maybe that's your one Imperium collection on top of your other stuff because it's low model count. The models look cool. You don't need a whole lot of them, so it's easy to invest in, and they paint up super fast. Like you just spray them gold, color in some details.
I mean, people have been jerking their dick to the Custodes for like 20 years. You know what I mean? Waiting for that to come out. It's one of the sleeper most hype things that have ever happened was honestly Custodes going into Warhammer 40k, right, Rob?
I think so. They just look dope.
I mean, for a historic like 30k or 40k nerd, the arrival of this faction.
They put, I guess because it put us one step closer to the Emperor.
Yeah. So it is too hype. This book comes out and a ton of people are like, dope, new Custodes shit. Like, and they start playing it and it's solid, right? Like they had a very, very solid codex that was never in contention.
Nope.
Things that they deserved. The bodyguard rule that needed to change. That in and of itself is a fairly big tactical nerf to Custodes because now you have to play a very different game in your movement phase and placement of everything. Changing those two stratagems so you can't use them on bikes. I can understand that. I can live with that. I feel like that change should have been points based because they don't want you to run 9 of them. And then the other thing that lots of people were talking about was our characters are too efficient with their points cost. They're too cheap. So they really only needed a couple of changes. 1, increase the points a little bit. And 2, remove this bodyguard stuff, like change that up. And then I think that in and of itself brings them in line with where they should be. This, on the other hand, this is insane. Like you have a lot of,
George actually says it perfectly. He's like, I love how the Custodes Codex was lauded as a piece of shit on arrival. Then it became top tier. And then it became a piece of shit again. What a roller coaster. And you're right. That's the hype factor, right?
That was all within like 2 months.
It's literally like, it's basically, we see it on arrival. You're like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's not as good as we wanted it to be. And then people started playing with it and started smashing dick with it. Oh, it is really fucking good after. It's so easy, actually. It's actually the best. Well, you know, when every fucking human being who has ever collected a Custodes army is fucking dusting off their Custodes armies because of 1,000 hype factors and playing them all at once, it really does skew the statistics and how powerful they are.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the same things.
There was a bunch of things they could have done. Like they could have.
Knights are a classic example, right? Like Knights are always guilty of this like hype factor. It was dumb, but the thing is, GW has walked things back many times, especially with Custodes historically. Yeah. So
and I don't think Custodes are down for the count. I think that there is a pivot that you can do with Custodes right now that'll still continue to work. Things like skewing into your vehicle lists, like your grav tanks. I think those are still plenty tough and still like work on their own. And you don't have to worry about these stratagems anyways. I think that list still does. We've seen the double and triple Caladius tank lists still continue to perform well. Like they're not crushing tournaments or anything, but they're still doing really well. So you can go to a tournament, have a good time with your Custodes. And then there's the other way, which is to really skew hard into heavy infantry, like flood as many infantry as you can and just play very, very tactically and cagey in your movement phase to like get on points, try not to be targeted by shooting attacks, really set the pace for the fight phase. The reason I don't like that is because that tends to be very kind of house of cards. Like if you make one movement error, like it's over, like it kind of all falls apart. And it takes all 5 turns. That's like a 2.5 to 3 hour game when you're playing that style of 40K. And I don't like doing that. So I'm not going to play that way.
Yeah, that was like old Harlequins, like the old style that you used to play with Harlequins, where it was just like, I'm going to play the mission. I don't know if I'm going to kill anything. If I do, that's a bonus. If not, I'm living, dying by movement phases, scoring points. And like, it's not a fun way to play 40k. It's really not. Like, it sounds cool, like from a tactical perspective. It's like, yeah, I won during the movement phase, but you're not really like rolling dice. It's like you're not even playing the game at that point.
Will it be strong? Yeah, it'll probably be strong. I mean, Deathwing does that same style. They've consistently been doing well that way. If you play infantry heavy Death Guard, they've consistently been doing well with that style of play. But it is very like, I'm going to try everything in my power to not let you interact with me until I want to fight you in the fight phase. And if you mess up your movement, if you make a tactical error, anything like that, like you're donezo.
Yeah, you're done. You just lose.
And so I don't like playing the game that way in general. It's why I don't play Deathwing, and it's why I don't play like Death Shroud heavy Death Guard anymore. Like that really cagey, long, drawn out battle kind of playing. Like I don't find it fun.
You want big, cool shit too, and you want to be able to do fun things.
Yeah.
But
this is rough.
That's nuts. It's pretty nuts. Is that like a nerf that you were expecting, or did it just like blindside you?
Oh, this is very blindside.
I think so.
I expected them to be like, Trajan is now 200 points. You like
bikes went up 5 points each.
Yeah, bikes went up. I expected 15 points.
You went worst case on 15.
Yeah. Like I expected it to basically be like, bikes are dead to me. My character is way more expensive. We're going to have to go like more infantry, more dreadnoughts, more tanks as like the powerhouse units. This stuff is just like, wow. Like when you do like a direct comparison of like a mostly elite infantry based army between something like Custodes and Deathwing, where people were like, one unit of Custodes once per phase having transhuman and no rerolls is too strong. Then I'm like, but I look at Deathwing and I'm like, I can have more bodies, more attacks, more OBSEC. The entire army is transhuman. I can have things like apothecaries that can just bring back models for free, that have a feel no pain aura, like all these other tools that Deathwing has that are way more defensively focused and hard to like kill than a Custodes army. And I'm just like, why is that? Why do you guys think that's OP? It's just
now you know what's going to get nerfed next.
And now Deathwing has like -1 AP, so it's like woo, like even better.
Dude, the fact that Deathwing is now more tanky than Custodes is crazy.
This almost sounds like beta rules. Do you remember like when they were like built beta rules? I kind of feel like Armor of Contempt's a beta rule.
Yeah. Like, I feel bad for Henry Cavill. It's just he just posted like photos of his finished like Custodes army.
Army or one model?
Or one model, whatever it was.
That's the same model he showed a picture of like 2 years ago though. Like just finally painted it.
Well, we don't know
He's
that.
getting ready for Kill Team, all right? That's what it is.
Damn. Let the man. Don't be hobby shaming people.
Listen,
Look, Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill's going to come in.
Next time you're in Los Angeles, come by the Beats Lab. I'll show you how to paint your Custodes fast.
He's going to freaking punch GW in the face. Like, he's just going to drop his Henry Cavill.
What does he care? Dude, this is something fun for him to do.
Is it though?
Yeah.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. No, I'm joking around. I just feel bad for Custodia players. Just in
I wish I was still having as much fun in the hobby as Henry Cavill is.
Oh yeah. It's like one of those things where you wish that you watched your favorite movie again without knowing that was your favorite movie.
Yeah. Get the first time back.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I mean, good for him. You just keep doing what you're doing.
I mean, it's a lot of give and take with this data slate. This Custodes thing, kind of a shit show. But everything else, kind of okay. I feel bad for Custodes players.
Thank you, Kenny.
Especially the ones that spent like 3 years painting their Custodes. I don't feel so bad for Wyatt because he spent like 2 afternoons painting his Custodes.
I even painted up the gunship.
Fuck.
The big one.
Yeah.
Look, it's right there.
I know what you painted.
You can almost see it.
Yeah. You spent like years working on your Custodes. Wyatt got his Custodes to tournaments inside of like 30 days.
Look, I didn't agree with it, but I was like, you know what? I want to paint these stupid wardens. And I started on them. Here they are.
Hey, stop
paint
right now.
wardens. Wardens are cool.
Pull out that speed paint and just paint some more Marvel Crisis Protocol.
For some reason, I just don't like the way that Custodes look. Is that bad? Do I die from that?
I can't with you right now.
I can't even.
Is that what happens?
It's the same reason I don't
with you right
like
now.
how Tyranids look. I mean,
That's understandable, man. You know,
It's fine. Yeah.
it's not for everybody. I get it.
It's the same. It's the exact same. I mean, you don't have to like Custodes. It's not a
And then
requirement.
you got shit like this. Kragnos. Rawr.
This is a audio podcast, so Rob is holding a
I said Kragnos.
He's holding a big centaur monster man.
huge
with a hammer
horse dick flopping
that looks like
between his
Loki.
legs.
Yeah.
It's like his
For
big as my
anybody who
head.
can't see this Rob Green stuff, to a giant dog.
Photorealistic paint job.
Yeah.
It's primer. It's not even primer. It's assembled.
He likes it
It's in
raw.
its
dog.
natural state, guys.
Yep. Huge. All right. Well, we should probably think about wrapping it up. We
I'm okay with that.
covered a lot of content with us, with a special guest, Matt. And again, as I remind you guys who are listening, California teams, a lot of what we just discussed today is going to be continuously discussed by our team and how we're going to adapt to this balance data slate
Oh, yeah.
for a tournament, which is a really fun part of Warhammer 40k. So we'll be talking about that in our tactics discussions over on Facebook and on Discord. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of information, a lot of advice, like Matt, who's been playtesting Harlequins for this moment so he can make his list correct for a competitive event. Stay tuned with Dice Check for that because he's going to give you the 4-1 on that. Wyatt obviously is making a big pivot. Stay tuned for that big pivot. I'm making a big pivot. So we're going to talk about that stuff later. Today was really just about bringing to light how the game has changed.
I'm still hobbying on the same shit.
I do feel bad for I feel bad for you, man. Like,
You know what I should do is just start painting on my Imperial Knights now.
There you go.
yeah, anything you paint on will look amazing. So I'm excited. At least that has occurred, But
A big pile of resin behind me. That's a bunch of night stuff.
Nice.
before we do get out of here, Matt, anything that our audience should be aware of that you guys are getting ready to do? Anything relevant or special?
Nope. Pretty lame. Just doing stuff, doing videos and stuff like that. So nothing too crazy. Yeah, that's pretty much
Tight.
it.
I heard you have a toucan. I
do. Oh, you know what? You know what is cool? Because like I've been doing stuff with FLG. They're full color terrain sets. They're on sale now. So like every Monday you can pick them up.
There you go.
It just came out with a snow gothic ruins.
Mm-hmm.
I've played on those terrain sets. They're really nice.
Oh yeah, they are absolutely gorgeous. Those are good. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. I'll be seeing you in more team meetings here soon. And then at the end of the month, we're going to get out of here. So, Wyatt?
Rob.
Why don't you just ask me, like directly?
And what would I do?
You do plenty. You read off the people's names and talk about the rules and.
This isn't it. This is about inclusivity. I've included Wyatt in the gag that ultimately makes you the butt of the joke. So I can see why you would be complaining here.
How am I the butt of the joke?
See what you got to do, Rob, is you got to get you like the reverse card from a deck of Uno, so that when I do that to you, I immediately have to go be like, Kenny.
Oh shit, that's. I took us out of here last week all by myself, so I understand what that's like.
I almost brought us in today.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll do it again. I'll do it this way.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I got this. All
He
right.
likes the gag.
Like,
See,
no,
he's
I
over here
want to do
complaining about it.
I just want to get out of here. All right. I want to bring the professionalism. So that's it for this one. Make sure to head over to thelongwar.net for exclusive content and early access videos. Become a veteran of the Long War today.